a more correct assumption is what?
That they're about the same? Probably?
Exactly. So what I did was, Aaron, I said, I went a little further than that even. I said, most likely, based on like traditional margins of error, 52 and 47 are pretty close. They're 5 percentage points apart, right? In order for that to be meaningful, they have to be no more than 2.5% margin of error, because that's what would make them not touch versus touch. So what I started doing was I played. I let that be the percentage. I let those be the p-hats. P-hat for Muslims, p-hat for delete. And I started building in Excel confidence intervals. I said, suppose they interviewed 100 people each. If they actually interviewed 100 Muslims and 100 delete and checked if they were unemployed or not, that's what it would look like. That's the plus or minus that would carry with it. You see how I can create that margin of error? Remember the calculation for margin of error is p-hat, I'll put it over here. It's root of z times the root of p-hat q-hat over n. So I know what p-hat is, it's 47 or 52%. I know what q-hat is, it's everything else. And if I have a sample size, I know that's going to be about 2, I can calculate a margin of error, right? It's the same thing we did with the coins yesterday. It's exactly the same thing with the coins yesterday. So that's what I did in Excel. I had Excel calculate that for me, and then slap it onto the 52 and the 47. So if you look at the actual intervals, you'll notice this one's centered at 52, and this one's centered at 47. The kicker is how far out do they stretch. With a sample size of 100, they're the same. Or I can't tell if they're different. That's a safer thing to say. I shouldn't say they're the same, but I can't tell if they're different or not. So then I said, what happens if I sample 500? Chris, what happened to the intervals? They got narrower, right? They got smaller because our uncertainty is less. Can I tell if there's a difference? Still can't tell if there's a difference. Let's ask more. 1,000. What the hell? They just got wider with 1,000. This is a mistake I wish I hadn't made. Did you see what happened with the picture? I apologize for this. I should have controlled for this in Excel. Look at the scale there. 30% to 60%. When I redid the interval, now it goes from 42 to 56. It stretched it out, and I wish I had caught that. I would have left it the same. These are actually even more narrow, aren't they? They're even more narrow, but they're still overlapping. I still can't tell. Not until I get to 2,000 do they not touch anymore. So then I ask a question. Did they ask 2,000 people? I don't know if they asked 2,000 people. So it begs the question, you can't see it right now, how big a sample do you need? And this was the question somebody asked either yesterday or earlier today. What is that sample that you need? Like, right? So 100 doesn't do it, 200 doesn't do it. If you want to see a difference, how big a sample do you need? Right? So what do you think?
It varies depending on what you're feeling.
It varies. We can even make it more general than that. It varies always. It varies on 2 things. And that's the last thing I want to do today is a little tiny bit of algebra. Save the best for last. Go over to the sideboard. We'll do it over here rather than erase anything. So, in order to answer this question, you got to ask